Greetings, family. Once again, this is Mr. Demezy back with you. And once again, it's an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be able to be in this place. And I'm grateful for all the people who have viewed up to this time and have seen some of our other videos and been appreciative. We thank you so very much. Today's video is about conquering our fear of freedom, self-healing. And, you know, I came to learn something as I began to converse with other people and start learning how to do this magical thing called listening. And listening is the key to so much of successful people's success. Success for some people might be making millions of dollars. For other people, it might be scoring a touchdown, or it might be, you know, dunking a basketball. But in this case, the success we're talking about is something that deals with people making plans and goals and then being able to set out over a course of time and achieve them. And when we start talking about conquering our fear of freedom, one thing I recognize that for most black people, especially black leadership, there's a failure, or there's a dismissal, or there's a disconnect between developing definitions of freedom. And if you haven't defined what freedom looks like, then what are you actually aiming for? In many cases, our leadership worships, black leadership worships their white oppressors. They worship their Arab oppressors. They worship their other oppressors, their competitors, their opponents, some cases, their open enemies. We worship them. And as a result, we can't have a definition of freedom that doesn't exclude them. Can you imagine a dog defining what freedom looks like, and in every dream that the dog has, there's still a master present? The dog imagines what freedom looks like, and in every dream the dog has, there's still a leash around its neck in its own dream. The dog imagines freedom in its own dream. It still has a bowl with kibbles and bits in it in its own dream, in the dog's dream for freedom. And so until black people develop a vision for what freedom looks like outside of dependency upon our oppressors, our opponents, our competitors, and even our open enemies, then, of course, you know, we're really not in a position to move towards what we would consider to be freedom, for what free people, you know, would consider. So part of this deals with lecturing. When I do lectures, I recognize that there are three things that determine success for any lecture that I give. And if I can get the audience to get these three things, then I know that I've been successful in a lecture. Because one of the things about it is real good to go out and talk to people and speak in front of them and inspire them and motivate them. That's wonderful. But it's very difficult oftentimes to get the follow-up. Unless you can do a workshop or two, it's difficult to get the follow-up unless you can control the economics or the financial acumen, the financial status of people. Oftentimes it's difficult to get the follow-up unless you have some psychological wherewithal. You affect the psychological wherewithal of groups of people. It's difficult to get the follow-up. Marcus Garvey said if he gave 100 plans, he'd be lucky to get 10 of them carried out. And so these three signs for success for any lecture I give are simple. A, place, if the audience member is willing to place themselves naked before a mirror. B, be willing to see themselves in the light of truth. And C, accept divine personal responsibility for their situation and their reactions to it. A, placing ourselves naked before a mirror. Even though we should do this physically, and I do this physically, I get up in the morning, I take my clothes off, I go wash up, and when I'm oiling my body down, I'm in front of a mirror and I'm naked. And whatever flaws I have, whatever things I see that I love about myself, you know, I thank God for me being who I am and how I am. And of course, I also want the things that I feel are deficient or in error or perhaps need correction or improvement. I want those things to get better. I know they ain't gonna get better by themselves. And so if I need to fix my chest, I know I need to do some push-ups. If I'm dissatisfied with my arms, I know I need to do some curls or some back arms or some, you know, lifts, something that deals with strengthening the arms. If I'm dissatisfied with my forearms, I know I need to do some exercise related to the forearm and the wrist. If my fists are not hard enough and my handshake is not strong enough, then I know I need to get something to help me learn how to grip. And I know I need to punch some sand or punch some steel or some concrete or some stone in order to toughen up my fists. Same thing for my shins and my knees and everything else on my body. I need to get it right. I need to get it better. I need to tone it up. I need to strengthen it up. Right? Maybe I need to lose some weight. I need to eat better. Maybe I need to drink more water to get my skin clearer. Maybe I need to get a different type of oil. Any dissatisfaction I have, first of all, I'm grateful that I have a body, and I have a sense about myself to want to be healthy. And I thank God for that. But there's also another kind of mirror. There's another kind of mirror that deals with the people we have in our lives. The people that come in and out of our lives. And we've got people that we know care about us, that we know love us, that will pull us to the side and tell us about ourselves. And that's a mirror for you. That's a person that's telling you something about you to help you see you. And the purpose of a mirror is to help you help me correct ourselves. Not to throw the rock at the mirror because we don't like the reflection, but to help us see ourselves so that we can correct ourselves. That's placing ourselves naked before a mirror. You can't be naked in front of all your friends. I would advise you to go in a private closet, a private corner, before you get naked in the mirror. And that private closet or private corner had to be a safe space. And in the same way, you need certain type of friends and family members in your life that's not going to shame you when you're naked. Because oftentimes when you present yourself naked in front of folks, you know, they take advantage of you. You know, they do you wrong. They dog you. You know, we used to have a Band-Aid when I was a child, and you put the Band-Aid on for the scar, and then your friends would come and ask you, your so-called friends would come and ask you to take the Band-Aid off so they could see the scar, as though by them seeing the scar it was going to make it any better. You taking the Band-Aid off was not going to make the scar any better. The purpose of the Band-Aid being on was to cover the scar and allow it to heal. The Band-Aid is a second skin, especially if you put the medicine on it. And what we do is we get in front of people, and if we haven't learned that lesson as a child, we expose ourselves to other people who do not have our best interests at heart. We did not go into a closet. We did not go into a private corner. We went into an open space, sometimes with a snake or a rat, and we have revealed ourselves to them, and then they dog us out. And then when real people come in our life, we don't recognize them as real. And so we have a very difficult time presenting ourselves nude in front of them, because the nudity is one that's free of shame and you are vulnerable. Place yourself naked before a mirror. Sometimes the mirrors are not really pleasant. These are people that come in front of us and they tell us about ourselves, like a comedian, like the comedian did on Nutty Professor. You remember when Dave Chappelle, the character he was playing, he started going in on the professor. And the professor was, you know, overweight and whatnot, and he started dogging him. Well, he was a mirror to that professor. He was a mirror because he was telling him the truth. He told him something that his friends would not tell him. He told him something that his family members would not tell him in that way. And as a result, he was a mirror to him. And he allowed him to help move towards healing or move towards further killing himself with the abuse of the food. That's placing ourselves naked before a mirror. B is seeing ourselves in the light of truth. If I can get our audience members to see themselves in the light of truth, after placing themselves before a mirror, hey, I know we're working towards success. Because not everybody who's in front of a mirror is going to see themselves in the light of truth. As a matter of fact, there are some people who are going to do what Amos Wilson said. They're going to spend extra energy in denial. They're going to say, no, I do not see what I see. Even though I'm looking at it with my eyes, even though I can sense that it's real, I don't see that. Because to see that means I have to take responsibility for it, and I do not want to deal with that right now. I'm not ready to deal with that right now, so no, I don't see it. And I'm going to spend extra energy turning my head so I don't look at it. It's like a fat person wearing stripes, a fat person wearing black, and don't want nobody to tell them that they overweight, that they out of shape, that they need to work out, they need to do some walking, they need to drink more water, they need to get some herbs, they need to clean out. They don't want nobody telling them that. So they got the black clothes on, they got the stripes on, so that you won't tell them what they already know. And as a result, they stay the way they are. So it's not that they don't know that they're overweight. It's not that they don't know that they don't need to lose weight. Not that they don't know that they need to be dedicated towards, healing the body temple. Not, in terms of losing weight so much, but in terms of changing how they wear their clothes and changing how they present themselves and having more wind, improving their circulation, their flexibility, and their proper elimination of waste. Not just in terms of losing weight. holistic health and wellness. Having a divine connection with whatever that concept of God is, having a connection with that, getting into meditation, getting into gardening, 20 minutes of consecutive exercise every day, loving other people who love you and care about you. No, I'm in denial. So I'm not going to see that. Even though I can see it, I'm going to act like I don't see it. All right? I'm going to purposely turn my head to act like I don't see what I see because I don't want to deal with it. That's not seeing ourselves in the light of truth. So just because you're in the mirror and you see something is wrong, don't mean that you're going to work to fix it, because you could be in denial about it. When you see yourself in the light of truth, that means you're dealing with the meiotic principle. And you're going to say, even though I don't like it, even though it's unpleasant to me, even though it's unsavory for me, I will embrace it. And I'm going to make it go away. I'm going to try to help it heal. Because I love me enough to be honest with me, because I'm being honest with me so I can help me be better. The third one is accept divine personal responsibility for their situation and reactions to it. If I can get an audience to A, place themselves naked before a mirror, B, see themselves in the light of truth, and C, accept divine personal responsibility for their situation and reactions to it, then I know we having success. What do we mean by accept divine personal responsibility? I didn't molest me. I'm a victim of molestation. But I didn't molest me. When I was being molested by that loved one, by that person who was trusted, by that person who I was powerless to defend myself against as a child. When I was being molested, sometimes I liked it. Sometimes I appreciated the extra attention. I started looking forward to it. And because my body is physical, when you touch me, a touch can sometimes be exciting. And I was excited by the touch. Even though other people said it was wrong, I got excited by that. And I've now carried this trauma because I was helpless at that time. And I haven't reconciled it. I've carried this trauma because they said Jesus was going to fix it, and we threw it away and we didn't deal with it. I'm taking this trauma into the rest of my life. I've got interrupted stages of development. Erickson can't fix this. Fromm can't fix this. Terry Vudas can't fix this. Maslow can't fix this. Piaget can't fix this. Because these stages of development were ruptured. Because these problems have never been fully addressed. And just like black people who have never received the collective therapy for our Alpha, we have these issues that have not been fully reconciled in our personal lives as well as in the collective sense of the race. So when we start talking about accepting divine personal responsibility for the situations and the reactions to it, I can't help that somebody molest me. I was a child. I was too young. They were more powerful. They had all the advantages. They had all the knowledge. They took advantage of me. And I had to get to the point where I can say, hey, I didn't do that to myself. Hey, I'm going to forgive myself. Hey, sometimes I did like it. But it wasn't wrong for me to like it. It was wrong for the pervert to molest me, to take advantage of me in that way. And hey, we're going to move past this thing. And we're going to allow ourselves to love. We're going to allow ourselves to heal. We're going to read the books. We're going to tune into the right videos. We're going to go listen to the correct lecturers. We're going to be supportive of other people going through the same situation instead of hyper-judgmental. And as a result, we're going to put ourselves in a position to both heal, be healed, and be a healer to others. Heal, be healed, and be a healer to others. As opposed to being a person that's hurt, and as a result of the hurt, go out and hurt others. We're going to turn this thing around. We accept divine personal responsibility for our situation and our reactions to it. We're going to own it. We're going to be like God in the Bible, who says, I am the author of good and evil. In other words, if I'm the creator of all things, if I stepped out of nothing onto nothing and created everything, and from everything comes me, and through wisdom all was created, and I'm omnipotent, I'm omnipresent, and what is it? I'm all powerful, all present, and I'm all knowing, omniscient, then I don't have no excuses. So the buck stops here. We grown. And we're going to own it, whether it's good or bad. And it's our responsibility to fix it. Even if I didn't do it to me. Even if it ain't my fault. And it ain't black people's fault we was brought over here. It ain't black people's fault we was subjugated. It ain't black people's fault we've been put through this hell. It ain't black people's fault we end up in the hand of a corrupter. It ain't black people's fault we've been taken and turned upside and pile driven. It ain't our fault we've been DDT'd. It ain't our fault we've been lobotomized and had the brain taken out and put dog food put back in. It ain't our fault that we walking around here like Frankenstein with all these spare parts and all this confusion going on. It ain't our fault that we still carry Dr. Frankenstein's name, even though he's the wicked scientist, that's the true monster, even though the townspeople are coming after us. It ain't our fault, but it is our responsibility to change it. I didn't do this to me, but it was my responsibility to fix me, because only a fool would expect the rapist to heal the victims of rape. Only a fool would expect the molester to fully heal the victims of molestation. If you steal my Xbox and you break it, I'm a fool to expect you to fix it. I can demand that you fix it. But if I don't have the power to enforce that demand, it won't come true. I can desire that you're going to fix it. But my desire might not necessarily come to fruition. But at no time should I expect you to fix it. Whether I demand it or desire it, no matter how hard I demand it, no matter how hard I desire it, at no time should I expect you to fix it. So, if we want to get our mind right, let me introduce you to a few books that'll help us conquer our fear of freedom. Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire, Black Skin, White Mask, Frantz Fanon, Colonizer and the Colonized by Albert Memmi, Miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson, lecture by Amos Wilson called Assimilationist Negro Fantasies, The Black Anglo-Saxons by Nathan and Julia Hare. These are just some of the books, of course. Wretched of Earth by Frantz Fanon. These are just some of the books that can help us get our minds right. Brainwashed, Tom Burrell. Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Joy DeGruy Leary. Man Heal Thyself and Woman Heal Thyself by Queen Afua. These are some things that can help us get our minds right and help us conquer our fear of freedom. And it's especially important for black leadership to conquer their fear, their collective fear of freedom. Because until that happens and they define what freedom is, black people will always be on this course of non-economic liberalism, that no matter what happens, who we vote for, or what plan we take, we still maintain the dependency upon our oppressors. And no sane people worship their oppressor. My name is Mr. Demeasy. One life, one love, one enemy, one God, one aim, one destiny. Motto Tep, may we continue to be a blessing to others. Thank you for your time.